We'll do a bunch of stuff. I love that tune.
Good evening and welcome to Field Talk. I am the Field, also known as Field of Bears, here to remind you that socialism always ends in invasion and genocide, and I've just noticed that my tilted. Oh boy. Give me a sec. Sorry guys, sorry. Hello, Spurdonkey, hello, B, hello, Andrew, and hello, Jamie. Also, hello, who was it? I forgot. Cold as Ice Bear. Hello, all of you, my lovelies. Uh, I was experiencing some slight technical difficulties, which is why my kettle has just gone off, and I will be back. Just a moment. As you no doubt have noticed, or it belongs and dog is where it belongs. All is the world. Everything in its rightful and natural place. There we go. Now back. Now, as you no doubt noticed from this title and my cryptic hints, we will be talking about my two very favorite amendments. I told Mr. Notfield, who is definitely not me, that my favorite amendments are the first and second, and he told me that he agrees with me. I still am not sure about this Notfield character. I trust that you are keeping an eye on his Twitter to make sure he's not saying anything insane. Because it is definitely not me who runs that Twitter. It's for sure somebody else whose name is Notfield. Anyway, back on topic. First and Second Amendments of our Constitution are inextricably. Just because. Let's face it, the final arbiter of any disagreement is force. Raw, naked force. If you cannot come to an agreement, then eventually one party is going to have to overpower the other. Hello, Fisty. Hello, Fisty O'Doyle Bear. Welcome. And as such, if we disagree about our right to speak, then we need to be able to use force to defend that right. which is why we have the First and Second Amendments. Now, the founders of this country knew that people needed their rights in order to live together peaceably. They needed to be able to speak with each other, and they needed to be able to defend that right to speak. Which is why they codified those rights in the First and Second Amendments of this country, of the Constitution of this nation, the United States, founding documents thereof. Hello, Boulder Bear. So let's go through just a couple of. Don't have it in my things. But apart from the ability to defend your First Amendment right to speak, you have to. That also enables you to defend your life, to defend your physical well-being. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'd messed up a few things. The handsome mug is currently keeping the ugly mug from getting any ideas about its place in the world. It needed to be reminded of where it belongs. Just the fact of how handsome it is clearly just it balances out how ugly the other one is. Because if someone wants to prevent you from exercising your right to speak, your right to pursue ideas, your right to convince, your right to use Bernanke, I could get into that, but let's not. It's simply the written down, codified, and formalized ideas that this country was founded on and that we all agreed to abide by. It's a way to preserve the ideas from generation to generation. That's why writing things down on a piece of paper is not a terrible idea, Spurducky. Jamie, the handsome mug is an endless wellspring of handsomeness. It can't get sucked out. So the way that people will attempt to stop you from using that First Amendment, using your right to speak, your right to ideas, to clarity, to pursuit thereof, is their own force. Which is why you need to defend yourself. And see, this is pretty good because it allows you to defend yourself from all sorts of things. People attempting to violate your right to property, your right to bodily autonomy, your right to, well, your own life. The ability to defend yourself physically is what defends all of your metaphysical rights. Therefore, we cannot depend on the police. Now, I'm sure that in most places, police attempt to do a very good job. I'm sure that they do. But the average police time in the U.S., according to this website, Save Smart Living, is to help people pick out cities. According to this chart, crimes of violence includes data on naughty word and other naughty word I can't say on YouTube. It's within 5 minutes, about a quarter of the time, within 6 to 10 minutes. That's about 30% of the time. Within 11 minutes to an hour, another 33% of the time. And the rest of these are negligible. Now, for violating your right to property, it's about a third for each of these. In aggravated assault, it takes a bit longer. Simple assault, you can see it takes longer. Now, aggravated assault and simple assault, you can sort of generalize that as the most likely way somebody is going to be attempting to violate your right to speak, apart from up here crimes of violence, which would be battery, attempted murder, the naughty words I'm not allowed to say, all of that. Yeah, you're right, Boulder Bear. That is pretty insane. Within an hour, 30% of the time. So we cannot depend on the police to protect our rights. Like, the police, I'm sure they do a very good job at fighting crime and arresting people and taking them to court and do all that. But it just takes them too long to come and stop a crime in progress. A crime can be committed within seconds, let alone an hour at most. And so I couldn't actually access a CDC study because I don't have $30 to spend on it. Oof, this is a terrible website. It keeps on reloading. So but this article is just a visual aid, I guess. I don't want to be reading it. From memory, it's like thousands of crimes are prevented by people who carry a concealed weapon or non-concealed weapon every year, and it's not even the use doesn't necessarily mean firing. But this does go through a really the sheepdog sort of decision. This was when was this? This was way back in 2012. The Mary Shepard sheepdog. She was an Illinois resident with no criminal record who was licensed to carry a concealed handgun in 2 other states. Was prohibited by Illinois law from carrying a firearm at the time she and an 83-year-old coworker were viciously attacked by a 6'3", 245-pound man with a violent past and a criminal record. She was trained with a firearm, and it's a pretty good equalizer. A bullet will stop a giant man just as well as a small man. And it was I don't know what she was like, but her friend was an octogenarian. That's a pretty big difference. And so this website seems pretty cool. It's like cops talking about how to conceal carry and do all that. It's pretty neat. Police1.com. So yeah, this is the study I was talking about. CDC in the United States, use of firearms for self-defense is important crime deterrent. We all know that. I couldn't access it because I don't have the cash to pay for it. And this, why I'm talking about your First Amendment being defended by your Second Amendment, at least here in the United States, is of course the Christchurch mosque terrorist attack that happened over the weekend, which is yet again the government using a tragic act of evil to justify for their own act of evil. But you can't counteract evil with evil, you just get more evil, obviously. So the interesting thing is we've got here on Wikipedia, you can see the number of incidents listed under their article for list of rampage killers. Africa and the Middle East, they have 112. The Americas, 138. Asia, 81. China, I don't know why those are separate, 107. Europe, 107. Oceania, Pacific Southwest Asia, 151. And they seem to have these broken down by types later down here. But well, let's see, County, 30 plus. Look at all of these incidents in the Middle East. The Americas got all of these incidents that they don't talk about. And I'll tell you why they don't talk about them, because they're not all committed by the correct people, and they're of course in the past, and everyone forgets about what's already happened. And so all of these incidents, these attacks committed for various reasons, both terroristic and just criminal insanity, they don't get talked about at all. Because the government wants to use this terroristic attack as justification to crack down on what they think to be the source of the trouble. But here's an old New York Times article on the IRA and their deadly tactics. Now, this is like this is a really old article. But the IRA, their whole thing was morale. Their entire sort of tactic was to break down the morale of the British by making the citizenry think that they were prosecuting unjust actions in Ireland, but they were also attempting to raise the morale of Irish people, making them think that they were justly fighting against an oppressive regime, which, well, they may or may not have had a point. I don't remember very much from End of the Troubles in the 90s. But anyway, again, this is just a visual aid. So here, see the headline, the picture. But what the IRA did was they went after high-profile targets that were sure to catch the attention of the British government media, thus resulting in the government cracking down on the Irish further, which would result in more young Irish men being galvanized to fight against the British. Does that sound familiar? Well, I read the manifesto, and like I said yesterday, his goal is to get governments to crack down on people in the West, to take away their rights, and he believes this will galvanize white people to coalesce around the defense of those rights and fight along identitarian lines. So this tactic has been done before, and now what's happening? Possession of Christchurch massacre videos could face 10 years in prison in New Zealand. Then they've got, see something, say something, the whole thing. So it's absolutely insane. And then this is from USA Today, so a whole heap of salt. Australia bans tour by Milo Yiannopoulos. Oh, where'd it go? Ugh, this website sucks. I'm sorry, guys. Stop it! I don't care about your ad. Beavers. Australia bans tour by quote alt-right unquote star Milo Yiannopoulos over New Zealand massacre remarks. And this is a country where it didn't even happen. And it's because I guess he criticizes Islam, and that's just not okay. They'll use any excuse, I suppose. And on top of that, New Zealand government has pledged to ban semi-automatic rifles, which is, I'm sure that my small audience knows what a semi-automatic rifle is, but that is you pull the trigger once, one bullet comes out, and then the next round is chambered by the it's chambered by the mechanism itself, utilizing the force of the discharge. Anyway, so it's basically all rifles that are not bolt action or muzzle loaded. Or breech loaded. There are breech loads still out there. I mentioned those. And this may or may not include revolver rifles, which do exist, although they are quite rare. It might include that, Sarge. It might include that on a legal basis, but a revolver is a different action because it. Oh, you know, you know, obviously, you know about the different actions, but the law might not distinguish between. So you're right. And there's one more thing after this. Now we've got people on the left making deciding to blame people who had nothing to do with this, like Stephen Colbert is blaming Donald Trump, and John Legend is also blaming Trump. I don't like that. So we've got this massive problem going, where we've got just all of these left wingers blaming people who had nothing to do with the problem. I do know that. I know that Spurdunkey. I've wanted to visit New Zealand for a very long time, but if it's a place where you can't defend yourself, I don't know. You're right, Sarge. I forgot about pump actions. That's a very good point. Lord of the Rings meets Call of Duty. Well, I have not watched the video yet. I'm pretty sure I can find it if I go looking for it. But I am quite the soft-hearted fellow, so I do not know if I can handle it. And that's just me being honest. I don't know if I can handle it, so I haven't gone looking for it just yet. The manifesto itself was disturbing enough, but I do recommend that if you want to understand this guy's motivations yourself, sure. And you're right, Jamie, I forgot about lever actions, but I did mention bolt actions and breech loaders. Hello, Cold as Ice Bear, welcome. I'm sure your gastric emissions are indeed deadly, Boulder, especially after being in jail. People are acclimated to shotguns, that's why. Spurdunkey, people aren't afraid of shotguns. They are such a big part of American hunting culture that everyone has been around a shotgun. Well, not everyone. Many people have been around a shotgun at some point in their lives, and when you see them in media, they're portrayed in non-scary way. Like the terrorists don't have a shotgun. It's usually like the little old lady at the store has a shotgun behind the counter. Yes, do subscribe to PewDiePie and don't listen to anyone who says that this is PewDiePie's fault. They're lying. And he obviously said that just to rile up the media so that they would cover him more. And it worked. That's another thing that's really bothering me about the media. He lays out what he's going to do in his manifesto about how he wants the media to react and how they're going to blame all white people, going to blame people who had nothing to do with it, and how they're going to crack down on people because of race or slightly right leaning, you know. And then they go and do it. They go and do it. Like I saw a Slate article saying that all white people are responsible for this guy. It's absolutely mad. He says, "This is what I want," and it's like the media looked at it and said, "Okay, well here you go. Have what you want. Here, let's isolate more young men. Let's make them feel more alienated. I'm sure that won't spawn any copycats. Let's make sure that these people just cannot talk because talking was definitely the problem, not the other way around. It's not possible that uh, that they can meet some moderating forces in the world. Maybe they might online meet some, you know, black people or Jews or Arabs who are pretty great, and then they moderate their position to account for these people who are pretty great, you know? Nah, that can't happen. Oh, except that's how it does. Now you're right, Fistio Doyle, they did. They fell right into it. Right into his narrative because it fits theirs. Because here's the thing. The left agrees with him on race. They agree with him, except they don't agree that but except that they think that the white race is bad and should be punished, or he thinks that the white race is great and should be reported or something. I'm oversimplifying, obviously, but on just the sort of core idea that everything the world revolves around race, they agree basically, and so they don't really have a problem perpetuating his narrative because that was the same narrative that they're perpetuating all along. And so now we've got New Zealand and Australia banning entire websites. We've got ISPs in New Zealand shutting down the service of websites that were hosting the massacre video. Many of whom were probably doing it for, yes, you say just educational positions or whatever. Yes, Brodunky, Feuds does not ask to be dragged into politics. All he wants to do is make silly meme videos. It's not fair to him at all. And it's not fair. They should just let him have his videos. Let's keep it going, lads. As long as it can last. And if you haven't subscribed to PewDiePie, do it. And for goodness sake, the people who say that you need to go subscribe to T Series to own the alt right Nazis, lol, they're just silly people. Don't pay attention to them. Anyway. So, here in America, we've got the Second Amendment. And the Second Amendment isn't just to enable us to defend our right to life and our right to property. It's also to defend our right to speak. And it's there so that we can defend our rights from whoever would infringe upon them. Now, that might include Antifa, or it might include like Al Qaeda guys, or other various sort of loose terroristic people, and it might include even eco fascists. So, but here's the thing: is it's written down in the founding document, Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, because it might also be our own U.S. government who comes to on our rights. It might be that the U.S. government lets blue helmets in to confiscate firearms or to crack down on dissent of or whatever. There are a myriad of ways that the U.S. government could infringe on the First and Second Amendment, but have the Second Amendment, have the ability to arm ourselves, then it's a good idea to prepare. Like right now, I don't think the government is their guns, but that's just because the government currently represents the people. Unfortunately, that can change. There's no such thing as a sure thing in this world, as we unfortunately all know. So we just have to be vigilant. And for the most part, we can use the First Amendment to push back. For the most part, we can argue our way into not having a conflict. We can argue our way into getting the other side to back down on infringing on our rights, for the most part. But somebody who can never win an argument is, of course, our favorite, the wonderful, beautiful Florida man. Don't worry, he's coming. Eventually. Load, damn you.
Florida man. We all said no, he said, yes, I can. Florida man. He always gets caught, he never has a plan. Florida man. We all said no, he said, yes, I can. Florida man. He always gets caught, he never has a plan. Florida man. He's at it again. Florida man. We all said no, he said, yes, I can. Florida man.
So we've got Florida man. Oh, whoops. Who had... There we go. That's the right one. Florida man, disguised as Spider-Man, steals liquor and cigarettes. A Florida man was arrested this week after robbing a liquor store using a Spider-Man mask as a disguise, police said. The Seminole County Sheriff's Office said a man was spotted forcing his way into a Winn-Dixie wine and spirit store in Castleberry, Florida on January 2nd. Deputies said the suspicious Spider-Man got away with nearly $150 in liquor and $420 in Newport cigarettes, but not before the superhero gave his identity away to cops. There's a line in the Spider-Man theme song. He catches thieves just like flies. In this commercial burglary video, you'll see Spider-Man himself is the thief who managed to get himself caught by appearing on surveillance video unmasked, the sheriff's office wrote in a Facebook post. Florida man, 44, was arrested after deputies viewed surveillance video and saw Florida man try to force his way into the store while still not wearing a mask. To me, it was just a matter of absolute surprise that he would walk up to the door first, try to break in, and then it starts clicking in his head that, oh, I might get recognized if I do this without a mask on, Deputy Bruce Milne said. The suspect went to a nearby secondhand store where video showed him digging through the donated clothing to find something to cover his face. When he discovered the Spider-Man mask, he returned to the store and broke in. Police say Florida man is well known to local law enforcement and has a long rap sheet back to 1991. In fact, at the time of the incident, Florida man was on bond for another crime, Milne said. Florida man was planning to exchange the $150 in liquor and $420 in Newport cigarettes for drugs, police said. Now, poor Florida man just can't keep it together. The last we saw of Florida man, he was a hero. He had done something great, but now look at how far he's fallen. Disguising himself as Spider-Man to steal cigarettes and booze to exchange for drugs. For shame. For shame. It didn't say. I didn't feel like watching the video, guys. So I think we've had ourselves a good show. A bit short, but that's okay. That's all I need to say. We've had a nice conversation. And the Ugly Mug knows its place in the world. I don't know where you can get an Ugly Mug, but I do know where you can get a Handsome Mug. Just scroll down into the description of this video and follow the link labeled Mug in big capital letters. Also, if you would like to just support me because I'm amazing and you love me, you can go to paypal.me/fieldtalk to throw me some change. Please do. I'm poor. If you enjoyed the live stream, please subscribe and hit the bell if you would like to be notified, possibly, or maybe not. Who knows? And if you would like to see more of me, there are social media places where you can follow me: Minds, Gab, and Instagram. Yes, I have a Ranch Life Instagram, which has no politics or arguments in it at all, only cute animals and flowers. You can also follow the Twitter account, Not Field of Bears, which is not run by me. It is ran by somebody who is not me, who is definitely not me. But he does faithfully tweet out links to this very live stream. So have a great time. And as always, have a great night. Never forget, socialism always ends in starvation and genocide.